It's scary, guys. It is scary. Civilians caught in between face sirens, shelters, and uncertainty about what the next day might hold. And one thing is that down here there is no service, there is no network connection. The shelter door is heavy, metal, cold. It slams shut behind you and then silence. And behind this door are people. Inside, families, children, babies, kids. Even though sitting here is not safe, but if I happen to sit here and I hear the siren, that's when I take myself inside. I'm standing out here because we just got a notification that very soon we should be expecting another set or wave of ballistics from Iran. So I'm standing beside the bomb shelter because it's just downstairs. A cold dawn broke over Israel, Tehran, and across the Middle East. In the silence before sunrise on 28 February 2026, radar screens blinked and air raid sirens wailed. The United States and Israel, working in precise coordination, launched a massive aerial operation against Iranian military and strategic targets. Some people have already gone in there. Planes screamed across the horizon. Missiles arced overhead and eastern skies lit up with flashes of explosions in cities like Tehran, Isfahan, Qom, Karaj, and Kermanshah. But I'm always the last minute man. But anyways, the reason I don't always go immediately we receive the notification is because it's stuffy there. It's not a place you want to spend the whole night there. Although if it prolongs, I mean if the war prolongs and we have to do this every 5 minutes, can you hear that? U.S. commanders dubbed it Operation Epic Fury, while Israeli officials called it Operation Lion's Roar, a thunderous declaration of force meant to halt what they saw as an existential threat. The targets were more than symbols. Iran's missile sites, command centers, and leadership compounds were hammered in coordinated strikes designed to disrupt and degrade the ability to wage war. So now, I'm actually gonna take myself in.
Tring, 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 tring. Koloyom, tring, tring,
Yeah.
tring, tring. Lots of sport.
Yeah, it's sporting time. But Iran's response was swift and brutal. Within hours, ballistic missiles and armed drones streaked toward Israel, drawing sirens and emergency alerts across Israeli cities. At the same time, Iranian forces fired salvos at U.S. military bases across the Gulf, from Qatar to Kuwait, Bahrain to Iraq, turning back the calming of the morning into a thunderous defense of their sovereignty. Air defenses sprang to life. Interceptor missiles lit up the skies over Tel Aviv and other regions of Israel as the drums of war echoed across borders. Civilians crouched in shelters. Soldiers scrambled to anti-air batteries, naval fleets repositioned, and diplomatic channels buzzed with urgent messages. The shockwaves weren't confined to the battlefield alone. World leaders condemned and cautioned, from calls for restraint to warnings that the conflict could expand far beyond the Middle East. UN diplomats demanded emergency sessions, fearing civilian harm and a spiral into all-out war. Russia denounced the strikes as unprovoked aggression, while European nations urged careful restraint and protection of innocent lives. And that's how we get settled in. This was not a clash of armies on distant battlefields alone. It was a full-tilt confrontation of strategy and resolve. The United States positioned fighters, drones, and carrier strike groups to support the operation and protect its forces. Israel's Air Force used precision strikes and intelligence to cripple key Iranian targets. Iran refusing to yield, launched widespread retaliation, tying the regional security environment in knots. Leaders on all sides framed the conflict differently. For the U.S. and Israel, it was a preemptive strike against imminent danger. For Iran, it was an invasion to be met with sovereign defense. Civilians caught in between face sirens, shelters, and uncertainty about what the next day might hold. And one thing is that down here there is no service, there is no network connection. The only service you would have here is the siren, incoming siren. That's the only thing. You can't really access your phone if you want to be, watching news or going on social media. If you want to have access to the internet, you have to take yourself to the staircase. That was an explosion. In all this, the thing that messes with you the most is the siren. It starts with a sound, not loud at first, just a vibration in the air like the city itself holding its breath. Then the siren hits. That rising mechanical wail that every person in Israel knows instantly. No translation needed, no explanation. It cuts through walls, through conversation, through thought. Your body reacts before your brain does. You freeze for half a second, then you move. I grab my phone, my heart is already racing. The alert flashes across the screen. You don't think about history, you think about seconds. But in Iran's case, probably minutes. How many minutes do I have? 10? 5? 12? Maybe less. The hallway feels longer than usual. Every step echoes. Doors slam in nearby apartment, footsteps pound on stairs, someone shouts, "Bomb shelter!" And suddenly it's not just you, it's everyone. The stairwell smells like concrete and dust. Someone's holding a crying child. An older man is trying to stay calm, but his hands are shaking. A neighbor you've only nodded to before is now standing shoulder to shoulder with you. The shelter door is heavy, metal, cold. It slams shut behind you, and then silence. But not really silence, because now you're listening harder than you ever have in your life. You can hear your own breathing. You can hear someone whispering a prayer. You can hear the faint vibration above, or maybe it's just your imagination. Every distant thought could be something. Every rumble makes your chest tighten. You tell yourself, the Iron Dome will intercept. The system works, you're safe. But safety feels fragile in moments like this. Time stretches. 30 seconds feels like 30 minutes. Then a distant boom. Not close, but close enough. The room goes completely still. No one speaks. We all count our heads without meaning to. 1, 2, 3, waiting for another. It's scary, guys. It is scary. War, apart from the physical aspect, is psychological. It has a way of effing up with you. A baby starts crying somewhere. Someone finally exhales. A nervous laugh breaks the tension. The older man wipes his forehead. You realize your hands are clenched tight. Because after war comes the psychological aspect. And behind this door are people. Inside, families, children, babies, kids. They're gonna be growing up with that. This is what it means to live in a place where history isn't just in books, it's in the sky above you. For decades, tensions have simmered between Iran and Israel, rooted in history, ideology, and regional power struggles. The U.S. has long been a major player, sometimes mediator, sometimes adversary. Now we have a little break, so I call it a break because this has been going on, and this should be, I think, the 7th time we have taken ourselves into the bomb shelter. Intermittently, we hear the siren, but before the siren comes the text messages. Is it text messages? No. Notifications being sent that we should get ourselves ready, we should brace up because there's going to be siren. Well, we're still hoping for another one. It's not like, we are ignorant of the fact that this can go on and on and on. So that's why I use the word hope. We're hoping I know hope is usually used when it is for something positive, but should I say expect? We're still expecting another siren. And it happens that even though the weather is somehow cold, but today happens to be a very good sunny weather. It's warm outside, very warm outside. These rivalries never simply faded, they evolved. In 2025, hostilities between Iran and Israel erupted into what became known as the 12-Day War, a brutal cycle of airstrikes and missiles barrages that left both nations scarred and the world on edge. The United States became increasingly involved, striking Iranian nuclear facilities in June that year in an attempt to halt a potential nuclear armament. But the question is, this time around, when is this war going to come to an end? Because in June 2025, the Israel-Iran war lasted for 12 days. This time around that the U.S. is involved directly because it is called Israel-U.S. or U.S. Israel-Iran war. So how long is it going to last? How long are we going to be running up and down? And how long are we going to be ascending and descending? We all pray for peace. And I pray and I hope and I wish that it will come soon. Then came the morning of February 28, 2026, a date that would be etched in history, coordinated by the US and Israel, a massive military operation, dubbed Operation Epic Fury by the US and Lion's Roar by Israel, struck targets deep inside Iran. This was not a border clash, this was a full offensive aimed at crippling Iran's strategic infrastructure and leadership. Iranian cities, including Tehran, saw explosions. Iran's supreme leader was reportedly killed during the initial strikes, an act that sent shockwaves through the region and the world. In response, Iran launched waves of missiles and drones toward Israel and US forces stationed across the Gulf, turning a regional conflict into a broader war. Sometimes to avoid the noise and the stuffiness inside, while sitting with every other person, I come up here to sit on the staircase. Even though sitting here is not safe, but if I happen to sit here and I hear the siren, that's when I take myself inside. But for now, I just want to chill here. Let me pause here and share what it felt like. I remember hearing sounds of explosions, hearing sirens in the distance, and scrolling through updates that blurred together like a storm. Families huddled in shelters. The sky became a symbol of uncertainty. Every flash, every sound carrying a weight no one could explain. It wasn't just news anymore, it was our reality. I felt the tension in every message, every call, and every moment of silence. The conflict didn't stay in one place. Missiles and drones reached beyond Israel and Iran, striking military bases in Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, the UAE, and more. Hezbollah in Lebanon, allied with Iran, began launching rockets at northern Israel, widening the battlefield even further. War is not just about strategy and numbers, it's about stories. Stories of people waiting in shelters, stories of families praying for loved ones, stories of doctors overwhelmed by casualties, stories of kids who never asked for any of this. I learned war isn't distant, it's humanity. It is raw and unfiltered. For every headline, there was a face. For every explosion, there was a family. And for every politician's quote, there were countless voices of fear and hope. In the middle of this storm, I came to one realization. Conflict asks questions we should have answered long ago. Are we listening to each other? Are we trying diplomacy before destruction? Can we find a path where humanity outweighs hostility? We all hunger for peace, not just for the absence of war, but the existence of understanding. This war changed history and it changed me. I'm not saying this to scare you. I say it to remind you. Even in war, our humanity survives through compassion, through connection, and the will to build peace. If you took away nothing else from this video, let it be this. History may shape us, but we get to shape history in return. Thank you for listening to my story. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, please stay safe, stay informed, and let's build a future where stories like these don't need to be told anymore. Because in the end, no matter our differences, we're all humans, and that is what matters. Rest in peace to everyone who has lost their lives since the beginning of this war. None of them asked for it. They all had plans today, but they are no more because of man's lust for power and stubbornness. To those of us who are alive, in times like this, we should learn to appreciate the lives we have, for it is appointed unto man to die once. Thank you very much for watching and hope to see you in the next video.